this?
I have the whole universe at my fingertips.
And I'm one of my own. I'd love it if you came with me.
I will shatter this silly little battlefield into dust. In a heartbeat, into dust. I'm the doctor. Now, stay back. We are going to walk through time.
Come on! We've got work to do.
Give me the loving!
Well, it's about damn time. That's right everyone, after loads of reports and rumours and just generally not knowing what the hell was going on, we finally have confirmation that Doctor Who was not dead after all. Again, you heard me right folks, Doctor Who is officially coming back next year for a Christmas special, with a new series hopefully following not too long afterwards. Now of course there is a lot to go over regarding not just this new special, but also the future of Who itself, and rest assured I'm going to do my best to try and answer as many of the questions as I can. Now, of course it's important to start off with what we currently know so far. Doctor Who will be returning next Christmas with a festive special. Russell T Davies is returning to write the episode, and based on some rumours currently swirling, this could be the last episode that he writes and could serve as the swan song to the RTD2 era of the show. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, it's been confirmed that Disney have indeed pulled out of the deal, and will not be funding the show anymore, which again isn't really that big of a surprise considering how we left off with the recent season. Regarding Who right now, the only related content coming out soon is the Sea Devil spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea, currently scheduled to air later in the year from what I know. Now I am honestly very relieved to hear this news, and excited of course. I, like a lot of people, fear that we would indeed be headed for another hiatus just like the one we got in 1989, so it's really exciting to hear the news that Who is coming back, even if it's just for a Christmas special. Okay, now that we actually have some news on this upcoming episode, I think it's important to address a pretty large elephant in the room. More specifically, the fact that the Doctor has now regenerated into a new incarnation with her resemblance. Now, there has been a lot of speculation amongst the fans as to whether Billie is sticking around for the foreseeable, but given the current circumstances and that her appearance was done somewhat last minute, it's looking more likely to me, and I'm sure many others, that Billie is only going to be staying temporarily for this upcoming Christmas episode. Now, I don't know a lot about the fanbase's opinion on Billie as the Doctor, but I genuinely think this is a role that she could take on and do really well in. And if she manages to do very well in her short time, I think that would be an accomplishment. Now, because this episode is being written by Russell, as well as factoring in his exit rumours and the conclusion of the reality war, I have a feeling that this episode is more than likely going to tie up all of the loose ends from his era, well, this more recent one, including why the Doctor now looks like Rose, along with the whole bi-generation conundrum, and more importantly, what happened to Susan Foreman, but I'll get back to all of these points later on. Now, as previously mentioned, Russell T Davies is returning to write this episode, which may warrant cries of joy from some people and a lot of deflated sighs from others. Now, based on some recent rumours going about, along with the wording of a recent article, it's possible that the Xmas episode could be Russell's last episode as the showrunner. Now, in my opinion, I think Russell departing again is for the best, because whilst I have loved RTD's work specifically during his first run on the show, I personally have had more mixed opinions on this new era as opposed to more overtly positive ones. Now, we have gotten some great stories from this era. For example, I quite enjoyed the 60th episodes and a few of the stories from the recent 2 seasons within the Disney partnership. And whilst I have enjoyed a lot of these stories, I think Who needs a clean slate, and unfortunately I don't think there's a place currently for Russell in that. Looking back over the past 2 and a bit years, it seems to me at least that Russell tried a bit too hard to bring in more viewers and heavily relied on previous characters coming back. And for a new era that was intended to bring in new viewers, especially considering that it was now going to be airing to a lot of people in America, that's something that leads to confusion en masse for new viewers. And while yes, casual viewers of Who and the obsessive nerdy Whovians will get these references and know who the characters are, and the casual viewer will probably know who the Daleks are or recognise the TARDIS if you held up a picture of it, but showing all these villains from Classic Who like the Rani, Sutekh, the Toymaker, and especially Omega is just going to confuse the hell out of people. That then brings us to another elephant in the room. David Tennant, or specifically the fact that while Shooty Gatwill was running around dancing with King George from Hamilton and doing a musical number with the Beatles, there was another Doctor on Earth not doing anything at all. Technically two if you count the Curator, but moving on. For those that need a quick recap, The Giggle saw the introduction of Bi-Generation, one of Russell's many fantasy ideas for the show, and this caused 14 to split from 15 as opposed to the usual regeneration process of one Time Lord changing into the next. In this situation, the next incarnation splits from the predecessor instead. The TARDIS also got duplicated as a reward for winning the Toymaker's game, and after that, 14 retired, got a proper family, and then that was it. Outside of a mention in The Legend of the Ruby Sunday, as far as I know, we haven't had any answers as to where 14 was when all of these world-ending threats occurred. In my eyes at least, it seems like the Reality War was a story planned for further down the line, maybe the conclusion of a 4th season for Shooty, where he would then regenerate at the end. But going back on topic, assuming that next year's Christmas episode is likely to tie up loose ends, again assuming that Russell won't be staying beyond this, many are actually speculating that David Tennant will once again make his return to tie off his story thread and perhaps close off the idea of Bi-Generation for good, because I can't see Who continuing without them trying to answer all of this, but yeah. And whilst I did enjoy the concept, this Bi-Generation hasn't had any major consequences on the story. All it really did was give us another Tennant clone in the Whoniverse, since we haven't really seen that before. Okay, next up we have the fate of the Doctor's granddaughter, Susan Foreman. Now, Susan made a quick cameo in the Insert Song Contest episode, which tied in with Eurovision at the time. Now, Susan's cameo, from what I can gather, was planned to set up her eventual reunion with the Doctor at a later point. The Reality War did feature extensive reshoots, and among those was a large party scene, where it was revealed that Susan had been watching them this whole time. It's almost certain that they were setting up Susan to have some kind of a larger role, but they had to reshoot the ending of the Reality War when it became pretty clear that Season 3 wasn't really happening. Susan's return is something that I think needs to be addressed, and I'm sure that Carol Ann Ford would definitely be up for a return. It is really a shame that we didn't get to see more of her in Season 2, but the whole Disney situation kind of scuppered those plans. Plus, Susan herself is one of the most important characters in sort of the Doctor Who universe, as she was the very first companion to appear on screen when the show first began all those years ago. So I really hope she gets to return at some point, if not here then hopefully in the near-ish future. If not in this special, then hopefully in Season 3. I'm literally begging for Susan to come back at this point. Now, we know of course that this is going to be a Christmas episode, but what exactly should we be expecting? Currently, I don't really know if I can answer that due to how little we know about the episode at the moment. But I definitely think this episode is going to be a multi-Doctor story, bringing back 14 to team up with 16 as they face a new or old threat depending on the villain. We could perhaps see the reveal of the mysterious quote-unquote boss mentioned by the Meep, Rogue and even Anita, as that's a loose end that needs to be tied up before Russell departs. And whilst I don't know how likely this is to happen, I would really love to see the Daleks back, because while yes, the break was necessary, I think a lack of recognisable villains in Who has hurt the recent seasons. Whilst yes, we did have Omega, Sutekh and the Midnight Entity, we didn't get any Cybermen or Daleks or any other classic villains that we've met in the past. I think one thing we can expect is that the whole Bi-Generation thing is going to be tied up. Perhaps 14 and 16 will re-merge in a Legopolis style regeneration, and we then end up with our new Doctor. Who that will be is anyone's guess at the moment. So with those questions answered, the final one to ask is what exactly happens next? Well, as far as we know, the BBC remain committed to making Doctor Who and have zero plans to abandon it anytime soon. I definitely think that we need a brand new creative team because, while yes, seeing these people who brought Who back at Bad Wolf all those years ago has been brilliant, they haven't really done anything truly new or groundbreaking in my opinion. Now, based on her previous track record, I'd actually quite like to see Kate Herron come in as the next showrunner. She's had proven success with Loki, which was very well received, and that show in of itself was more time travel and timeline based than anything else. Plus, she wrote my favourite episode from Season 1, so I think that's honestly a tick in my book. Now, as mentioned, I don't think Billie is sticking around long term, purely because her involvement was very last minute, so I don't see her being a long term Doctor beyond the Xmas special. I'd absolutely love her to, don't get me wrong, but it just seems very unlikely given the timing. Regarding who's going to take on the role next, I don't know for sure. Everyone has their own ideas over who should play the Doctor when the incumbent one leaves. Currently, my pick is Matt Ryan because it's a role he could slot into very well. He could quite easily take the natural charisma he displayed whilst playing Constantine and bring that to his own take on the character, which I think could, in all honesty, work very well. But with that said, I'm very excited for Doctor Who's return next year. Things have been quite rocky over the past 2 years and a bit, but I hope that with the upcoming Xmas episode, we'll see Who return to what it always should be.